Hello, welcome back. Today's project's called Relax and Stretch and introduces some new concepts that we haven't seen before. Let's get going. So as normal, I'm going to go to the Raspberry Pi projects. Going to select Code Club at the top here and then come down to Look After Yourself and then pick on Relax and Stretch. Quick demonstration of what we're going to be making. So press the green flag and
roll your neck to the right and round to the left and back to center.
So we're going to make a program that does some exercise, follow along type exercises, and it's going to have a couple of spinners on it that can't go any further than 5 and won't go less than 1. What do you need? You need online or offline Scratch. Today I'm going to use online Scratch. Don't forget you'll need to download the starter project file that has all the icons, sprites that you need to start the project. Today you're going to learn how to use a condition to control a variable. We're also going to use a variable to control the number of repetitions. And then we're also going to see how one of the extension blocks called text to speak can get Scratch to talk to us in a number of voices. Let's get going. So the starter project takes us to a project that has the bits to start with. I'm going to set my desktop up again by dragging down the top, Windows right arrow key, come back to the instructions and pressing the window and left arrow key, and I'm going to just drag that over. Don't worry about that stuff happening in the middle, that's my recording. And then we are going to remix our project, which means we get a copy to work with. And I'm going to call this by Colin. Whoops. Who, Colin? By Colin. First thing I like to do when I'm starting a new project is to see what I've got to play with. So click on my character, click on the character, have a look at the costumes, and you can see that she's got 11 different costumes at the moment. So there's an at rest position, there's a breathe in, a head left, a head right, arms half up, arms down, arms out, wrists out, all sorts there. So you've got a chance to have a little play with that later on. The other two icons we've got on here are the up arrow, and that has two costumes, one in orange and one in grey, and the down arrow, which is the same but the other way around. Okay, first thing we're going to do, and I've been calling her Nadia, so we ought to name her Nadia, is select on the character, on the sprite, and then swipe over this, and we can call her Nadia. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set up Nadia to be in the same position each time the game starts. So when the green flag is pressed, we want to start at position motion, go to 70 minus 25, which is where she is when we first start. And we want her to change her costume so she's at the at rest position. I've left her with her arms out and her wrists up. So under looks, switch costume to at rest. And then there's a wait 2 seconds to add on to the bottom of that. Let's test that works. Press the green flag and Nadia sits back in her chair with hands on the wheels. You might end up making her move around a little bit. I don't know quite how you're going to make your own programs go, but if she ends up, say, over here off the side of the page, pressing the green arrow will put her back into the start position. And when you do any coding, it's always a good idea to include a routine at the start of your program that puts things where you want them to start from. Save our project, save now. So we're now going to add in some breathing exercises that Nadia is going to lead us through. And we want a repeat loop, which is under control, and it's that one there. So this loop will just run a certain number of times. So we're going to put 2 in there for just now. The reason I've kept this separate over here is so that I can test it as I go along. It's just by clicking on this block, it will do that block without having to do all this other stuff. Switch costume to breathe in, so that's under looks. Switch costume to breathe in. Say the words breathe in for 2 seconds. The words for saying is under the looks as well. Doesn't quite sit that well with me, but that's where it is. Breathe in. So now if I click this block here, she kind of like sits up in a chair to breathe in, and she'll do that twice, but we haven't told her to sit back in the chair, so we've got to add the next bit of code to make us see her sit down. Now I could go and drag the blocks in from this side, but I like to reuse things that I've already got on the desktop. So if I right click on switch costume and select duplicate, that means copy, and then change that there to at rest, and then change that there to say and breathe out. So let's just do that little test. Oh no, it doesn't work if I press that. I've got to click this block when I'm testing. Okay, that looks good to me. Because that block of code now seems to work okay, I can attach it to my main block of code and press the green flag. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Excellent. We are now going to control the number of repetitions. So when you're programming and you've got loops and things going on, sometimes you might want the loop to run more than once, or you want to have something that you can control them with. We want to be able to control what's in here by using our spinners. So having got Nadia doing her initial exercises, we're now going to create a variable. And a variable is a way of storing information that we can reuse throughout a program. Sometimes I think of it as being a shoebox into which a value has been put, and then to get the value out, I get the program to go and get the value of what's in my shoebox or my variable. We're going to call this variable repetitions. And the first thing we need to do is we need to set our repetitions to a default value. So again, that goes into our initialization part of our code. So set repetitions to, they're suggesting 3. And then everywhere I want to use the value 3 within my program, I just drag repetitions into the box. So now I've replaced 2 with 3. So when I press the green flag, you'll see that repetitions appears here, and Nadia will breathe in and out 3 times now. Cool. So now we need to code the buttons. So we're going to use the buttons here to control the repetitions. So I'm going to click on the up arrow. The up arrow has some has its own initialization bit of script that just says put the up arrow in this position. And the whole script says just keep it there. So forever make this arrow stay at that position. So if I grab hold of that arrow, it's just going to fly back to that position. But we want to change it. We want to code the program so that when we click the up arrow, repetitions increases. So it's an event. When this sprite is clicked, variables change repetitions by 1. And that's the basic code. So if I click on that block now, or on the up arrow, you can see that my repetitions is going up and up and up and up. But I don't know if you remember at the outset, we said we wanted to limit the number of the maximum number of repetitions to 5. So we just need to break that away at the moment and just do something a bit more interesting. Under the control, we want to get ourselves an if then else block. Now the way this block works is we're going to put what's called a condition in the diamond shape here. And a condition simply means it's a test of something. It's also called a Boolean test, and the outcome of the test is either something is either true or false. If the answer is true, then it will run the first part of the code. If the answer is false, it will run the second part of the code. Now, what do we mean by that? Well, let's go and get an operator and a condition statement, and the one we want is the less than variable. And what I do is just set this up to and then explain it to you. So I'm going to say if repetitions is less than 5, then change repetitions by 1. Just in case you can't see that, because it's a small shape on there. So the way we read this block is we say if repetitions is less than 5, and if you get confused by the sign in the middle there, I always look at it and I always say, well, which is the smaller end? So the smaller end in this instance is the left-hand end, this side of the jaws, and the bigger end of the jaws is that end. So the question is, this side has got to be less than that side. So the question then is, or the condition is, if repetitions is less than 5, then change repetitions by 1. When repetitions is bigger than 5, we can know the condition is false, so it will do the second part of the if then else statement. And in this case, we want it to we're going to want it to put out a message to say 5 repetitions is the maximum. So the say statement is under looks. Bring that in there. 5 repetitions is the max. Right. Let's just see how that works. I just need to reduce my size back down to where we were. Attach that to the code or the trigger, the event. If I press this block now, it says 5 repetitions of the max, but I've got 23. That's because I was interfering and tinkering. So I need to press the stop button and then start. It'll go back to 3 because that is what we had in our initialization process over here. Now I'll just start doing our exercises again. Come back to my up arrow. So when this sprite is clicked, you can see it jumps to 4, to 5. So why has it failed? Why has it come up with the message on 5? Well, so I explained about when repetitions was less than 5, and I explained when repetitions was greater than 5. When repetitions is equal to 5, that's not the same as being less than 5. To be less than 5, it needs to be 4. So when it equals a value as well, it fails. So the Boolean statement in here comes out as false, which means it goes through to the else part of the statement. If you're interested, there's a whole branch of mathematics about Boolean calculations, these condition statements, but I won't bore you with that today. Just suffice to say that this statement works by saying, if this part is true, then do this part, else do that part. Okay, so that's the upwards arrow coded. We'll now need to do a similar sort of thing for the downwards arrow. So select the downwards arrow, get the when this sprite is clicked, and this time we want the different operator. We want a different operator, but we'll get the if statement first of all. And under operators, we want the one that's got the greater than sign on it. So the jaws are first, greater than. So we want to say if repetitions is greater than 1, then it's okay to reduce the value by 1. But we need to change the repetitions by -1. So that'll make the number go smaller. If I just stick that on there for the moment, and just so you can see, I've got 5 on here at the moment. Press the downwards arrow, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, that's just madness, isn't it? You can't have a -12 repetitions, which is why we need to put this little test in. Let's build this up then. So if repetitions is greater than 1, then change repetitions by -1, else give us a message. Let's put it in. Let's put a cheeky. No way you can't have less than on the block. One final test. Down, down, down. No way you can't have less than 1. We need an apostrophe in there, don't we? Okay, our code works now, so we go upwards. It won't go further than 5, and it won't go and it won't go below 1. Save now. Job done. Right. Nadia's now going to show us how to do a head roll, and also going to get us. She's also going to tell us what to do. So I'm going to select Nadia, and I'm going to go and get an extension block from down here. So extension blocks are different things we can add into Scratch to allow us to do other things. Some of them allow us to talk to other bits of kit like microbits or Lego Mindstorms. Some allow us to play instruments and drums and all sorts of things. But the one we want is text to speech. Text to speech brings us in 3 different blocks. I'm just going to put them on the desktop so you can hear and see what they do. So we've got a box that we can put things to be said. We've got a box that says about a voice, and we've got a box about a language. So let's just run with the default settings at the moment. I'm just testing this out for you.
Hello.
So if I click on the blocks, if I click on the block of code there,
Hello.
the voice says hello. We've got some different types of voice in there.
Hello.
Hello.
Right. So I need to put the words to be said afterwards, or else it doesn't work, does it? You can't. No, you can't change the voice to tenor. So let's change it to squeak.
Hello.
A little squeaky voice.
Hello.
Hello. We can also change it down here. We can also change what you want to say. Hello, Colin. You are coding well today.
Howdy, Colin, you are coding well today.
Would help if I spelled hello properly, wouldn't it?
Hello, Colin, you are coding well today.
It's a very deep voice. But we could also set a different language to say it, for it to be said in. So we could ask it to say that those words in French.
Hello, Colin, you are coding well today.
And if I pick something like Russian, it comes out really weird. Okay, it's not a translation, it's just saying the words in the way that a Russian would say it. So let's just change that back to... now what we're going to do is, in our initialization part of our code, we're going to set our language to English, set the voice to tenor or alto, And I'm just going to get rid of that speech block for the moment. So that's us adding the extension. You can play with that to your heart's content and do all sorts of weird things with it. So we're going to now we're now going to get Nadia to show us how to do some neck rolls. And we want a control loop, and we want to repeat, and we want to repeat the number of our repetitions. So let's bring that variable in. We want her to say, roll your neck to the right. Roll your neck to the right. Then we want her to change costume. Head right. And then we want to put a little bit of a weight on there. Weight 0.5. Let's just check that works. I'm going to change the repetitions down to 1 so we don't have to spend too long waiting.
Roll your neck to the right.
Pop. Okay, so her head's been left over on the right, so we need to now bring the next bit of code and round to the left. I'm just going to right click on here and duplicate that, pop that in.
Roll your neck to the right.
And then, oops. And round to the left.
Roll your neck to the right. And round to the left.
Oh, I didn't change the costume, did I? So that's why her head didn't come back.
Roll your neck to the right. And round to the left.
There we go. And then we need to add one more thing to add it back to the start position. So right click, duplicate. And back to center. And change the costume, Colin. Put that on the bottom.
Roll your neck to the right. And round to the left. And back to center.
Okay, so I'm happy that's doing what I want it to do. So we're going to pop that block on the bottom of our code there. So that's a well done from the Raspberry Pi Foundation. You've programmed a healthy relax and stretch exercise to keep yourself and others moving. What would you do to improve the program? Can you create an exercise routine of your own? Well, I'm going to create two. I'm going to show you one that's just similar to what we've just done, and one that's got something a bit different in it. So what I was going to show you is that Nadia put her arms out to the right. So I'm going to do, quite simply, I'm going to stop. I'm going to click on this block here. I'm going to duplicate this block because I want to use all those things there. And this time I want to use costumes. I wanted to put her arms out and then put her arms over her head and then come back to a rest position. So we can do this very quickly by doing double clicking on there and put your arms up. Change costume to oh no. I meant to say put your arms out. Out. Far and wide. Now up over your head. Change the costume to arms up. And back to center can stay the same. We reduce the repetitions to 1. If I just click this block here.
Put your arms out far and wide. Now up over your head. And back to center.
Okay, so that was my first little block I've created. You can make whatever you like, and I really look forward to seeing what ideas you come up with. Something a little bit crazier or a little bit different is I'm going to create 2 new costumes for Nadia. I want to make her show us how to do like a windmill. So one arm up high and one arm down low, and then swap the arms over. And I think the best costume I'm going to use for that is this one here, number 8, as my starter. So I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to right click and duplicate that. So that becomes number 9. I'm going to drag that down to the bottom. So it's now become number 12. So number 12 is my new windmill position, or my new costume for windmill. And I'm going to say left windmill, left windmill. So that's the name of my costume. Now what I can do with Nadia is I can pull her arms apart. So if you notice, as you hover over different parts of her arm, you can see there's 3 different parts to her arm. So one way I can do this is I can click on the shoulder part of her arm, rotate it, and then put it back in her shoulder socket. Come to her forearm, rotate that, and put that on the end of her shoulder. Her hand looks a bit like a lobster's claw, but we'll have to ignore that. And then turn that around the other way, and then drag that and put that on the end of her arm. That's one way I can sort her arm out for her. There's another way. It's a little bit fiddlier, but it's a bit quicker. The first thing I'm going to do really is I'm going to make her arm come out straight like this, and then pop that back on the end of her arm. Now I'm going to click on her hand. I'm going to hold down the shift key, which is on the left hand side of your keyboard. I'm then going to click on her forearm and her shoulder, and I've kept the shift key kept down all the time I did that because I want to be able to keep them all together. They're now what they call grouped together. Now if I get hold of the spinner, I can spin the whole arm round like this, then come back up, put it back in its socket, and that is the position for my left windmill. I want to repeat that for the right hand side. So I come down to here, right click and duplicate that sprite again. So now I've got number 13. I can take the 2 off the end there, and I can rename that right windmill. So again, I'm going to do this one by holding down the control key. So I'm holding down, so no, wrong. I'm going to do this arm by holding down the shift key. So first select the hand, then the forearm, then the shoulder. The spinner wheel becomes available. I'm going to rotate. Coming over here now. Pull it down, put it back in the right position. And that's her left arm in the right place. For the right one, I'm going to show you a slightly different way of doing it. So I'm going to select the 3 pieces again, holding down the shift key, still holding down the shift key, still holding down the shift key. Now with those 3 bits of her body selected, I'm going to select the flip vertical. So now her arm's coming out of her tummy, but I can just drag that up to her shoulder now, and that's her arm in the opposite right windmill position. So now we can have a little bit of fun with this. Come back to my code. I'm just going to create myself a little loop here. I'm going to bring in my looks, switch costume to windmill left, duplicate, change that to second one to windmill right. I need to add in that little break. So yeah, let me just demonstrate this to you. So I've got a bit of code here. It's going to run 10 times. It's going to make her costume switch to windmill left, then windmill right, and then windmill left 10 times. When I click the block, it appears that she only does it once, and then it doesn't seem like it works. Well, the reason is because she's doing it so fast we can't see it, because we've got no break in between the different costume switches. So to fix that, we need to put a wait block in between, 0.1 I'm going to put in there. I'm going to duplicate that because I need 2 of them, 1 at the bottom there, 1 there. Now when I click this block, she's going to look a bit like an aeroplane propeller. Okay, well, I'm happy with that. I need to add a rest on the end of it. Oh, do I want to put some words on it? Yes, I do want to put some words. Let's put it on the top here. One arm up and one down like a windmill. Now swap your arms over. I'm just going to copy the and back to center to put on the bottom of that.
One arm up and one down like a windmill. Now swap your arms over and back to center. One arm up and one down like.
So I stopped her then because I had it still. She was still in that repeat 10 times loop. But I can see that loop's going to work if I put the repetitions block in there, then and then attach that to the bottom of my loop, my script. She will now, my code, she will now, one last run through, breathe in, breathe out.
Roll your neck to the right and round to the left and back to center. Roll your neck to the right and round to the left and back to center. Roll your neck to the right and round to the left and back to center. Put your arms out far and wide. Now up over your head and back to center. Put your arms out far and wide. Now up over your head and back to center. Put your arms out far and wide. Now up over your head and back to center. One arm up and one down like a windmill. Now swap your arms over and back to center. One arm up and one down like a windmill. Now swap your arms over and back to center. One arm up and one down like a windmill. Now swap your arms over and back to center.
There we go. So that's our program working. So once you've done that, you can then share that project with us. Press the share button, turn off commenting, and then post the link into Facebook and we can see what you've done. Whew. That was fun. By the time you get to view this online, I'll have added something else to the program for Nadia, which I hope you enjoy. And I look forward to seeing what you've created. And if you want to add different sprites, do anything different, that's perfectly fine. I look forward to seeing it. Okay, don't forget to give some comments and feedback below, and we'll see you next time for Hunt the Diamond. No, it was called, what was it called? Focus on the Box, or whatever it was called. Okay, bye.